When the idea of saltwater fishing came to mind, I had visions of reeling in that 12-foot marlin out in the deep blue ocean. But I quickly discovered that the cost of those types of fishing trips stretched out into the depths of 4 figures. And I was trying to keep my little fishing enjoyment in the shallow end of the 3s. Besides, from what I hear, such a trip involves around 2 hours of just getting there boat time. So, I booked a 4-hour bay fish trip with Captain J.
It's about 15:06 here in Galveston Bay. Not a whole lot going on out there. Saw a few fish jumping out of the water. Waiting for my fishing guide to show up. Yeah, I'm a little early. I just wonder if I'm at the right place. Always my big fear. Saw some pelicans over here earlier. They didn't stick around though. Apparently not the social type. Oh well. Ooh, maybe that's him there.
It wasn't.
Maybe this is my guy. He has a boat anyway. Let's go see.
That wasn't him either. Captain J had a flat on his boat trailer for the morning.
Okay, it's now 7:30. I think there's my guy. Okay, now I'm on the boat. First boat like this I've ever been on.
Instead of hitting the high seas, we were floating around the bay, basically in people's backyards. But that's where the fish were. And before I knew it, I was reeling in a 23-inch Texas red, or a red drum for those out of Texas folks. Now I wanted to yell out, "It's a 20-footer! We're gonna need a bigger boat!" But I'm not sure Captain J was old enough to remember all those classic lines from the movie Jaws. Now, before I could come up with any more classic movie lines, I reeled in another Texas red that measured nearly 2 feet. Then I pulled in a trout. And then another trout. I was pulling in the big ones like a regular pro. Captain J and I were high-fiving each other like a couple of college kids at a strip joint. Wow, I was excited because I was catching my limit. And Captain J was excited because I was letting him take my catch home. I mean, what was I going to do with him? I'm not sure how many 23-inch fish my little motel refrigerator would hold. Besides, Captain J had 3 teenagers back home to feed. Yeah, we were having a blast. Well, maybe not the fish so much. They just didn't seem to be into it.
Here's the catch. There's 3 of them. There's the water. There's a sailboat. Here's all our fish. Yay.
There we go. Yeah.
There's Jay.
What up?
There are 2 notable old mansions to check out while in Galveston. And the first is the Moody Mansion. Now, the Moody family was one of the town's rich folks. And even though they didn't originally buy the house, they got a great deal on the 28,000 square foot little shack for the low price of only 20 grand. Of course, this was after the devastating hurricane of 1900. Yeah, there's nothing like a recent natural disaster to drive down property value. Oh yeah, definitely a buyer's market.
Here we have the Moody Mansion here in Galveston, Texas. And a lot of traffic. Let's go check this place out. I'm at the Moody Mansion in Galveston, Texas, and we start out looking at the cars. Check this out. Ooh, look at this Cadillac here, 1949. Wow, check out that chrome. There's something that we don't see anymore. I miss the chrome. I wonder if it's got air conditioning. I don't see air conditioning. Don't see anything but my reflection here. Actually, if you look hard enough, you can see reflection. There's not even a radio. Well, actually there is a radio in there. This one, this LaSalle, check back up a little bit, doesn't have an air conditioner or a radio of any kind. Ah, sweet ride though. Here's the dining room in the Moody Mansion. Check this ceiling out. Ain't that cool? I guess back then they didn't have TVs. They just stared at their ceiling instead. Oh, wow. Cool. Alright. I guess we're done. This is the Moody Mansion reception hall. Check this ceiling out. Yeah. It's kind of not a real masculine scene here. This was the ladies' room. This is quite a staircase. This is the staircase that the adults used. The children used this one. The children and the servants. Check this bathroom out. I like the hot water heater. Ooh, the shower. They said that showers were only for men. It was too harsh for the delicate skin of a lady. Yeah, they took baths. There's a nightgown here at the Moody Mansion. Someone actually slept in that. Okay, style over comfort. Here's some more of the Moody Mansion. Moody Mansion. Big place. Probably costs a fortune to keep cool. Not much of a yard though. Kind of like that. I can mow that lawn. That lawn's smaller than my lawn. As long as you have someone to clean it.
A couple of my haunted tours claimed that the Moody Mansion was haunted. My question is, haunted by who? As far as I can tell, everyone who lived there had a pretty sweet life. The Moody family was just a rich businessman, his wife, and their 4 kids. But I guess like everyone else, the Moody's got a little moody at times.
These waves here are pretty crazy. I wandered out into the water today, all the way to about the edge of that pier there. The water never got up more than my waist. Man, those waves, they slapped me upside my shoulders. That was actually a lot of fun. I can see why people like this. I don't know if you can surf on them. Pretty crazy. It was fun.
By Sunday afternoon, the Houston crowd had pretty much headed back north. So, I grabbed some lunch at a nearly deserted Joe's Crab Shack on the seawall while taking in that spectacular ocean view. But why just view it? I had some time to kill, so I wandered out into those tasty waves. And as I splashed around in the water, I had time to think about, just how deep does water have to be for a shark attack? With that thought in mind, I decided to get ready for my next haunted tour.
Here is the Galveston Old Cemetery. I'm here for my tour. These loud traffic. Yes, this is, I guess, what I'll be touring. We're doing it at night, which means I won't be able to see anything, probably. Wow. But I guess a daytime cemetery tour just doesn't have that eerie feeling about it. Yeah, okay. I gotcha. Alright, I'm supposed to meet the lady in black over here somewhere. If it was a man in black, I'd be looking for Johnny Cash. Probably not Johnny Cash.
The Old City Cemetery is kind of hard to miss when driving into Galveston. Now, on these hallowed grounds, the Catholics have their forever faithful peacefully resting between the Episcopal and the Jewish deceased. However, there is one section within this cemetery that holds the title of Old City Cemetery. And this is where my next tour was to commence. I was to meet up with a lady in black. Now, I love tour guides who dress for the occasion. Indeed, you've got to respect that dedication. And this lady knew her stuff too. And we got to hear all about how the hurricane of 1900 buried the dear departed even deeper. Now, those who gave a darn or had funds dug their dearly departed loved ones' tombstones out of the ground. However, I noticed plenty of spaces where the tombstones were just left buried in the ground. Now, on the tour, we saw a tombstone that was forever covered in Mardi Gras beads. And as our lady in black gave us all the spooky details, my eyes honed in on a tombstone out in the distance that was glowing. And I do mean glowing. The weird thing is that no one seemed to mention a thing about it. I felt like saying, am I the only one seeing this? Of course, no one was caring about glowing tombstones. Everybody had their cell phone out, snapping away photos to see those blessed ghostly orbs. Now, I shot this video while I was just walking around before the tour. And that little speck of light that is dancing around to the left makes me wonder if I was not alone. Apparently, I bored the heck out of it because it bailed on me. And who knows if this is an orb or not. It looks like it moved in the other photo though, so that's kind of cool. Now here's another one that moved around a bit as well. Strange? Or just my screwed up camera? Now check out these two. They actually have streamers. Maybe something? Maybe not. Who knows? For haunted tours, this little romp in the cemetery was a great change of pace from all the city tours and highly recommended. But the scariest part of the tour was when we came across some guy who was just hanging out in the cemetery drinking a beer. He claimed that he lived just down the street. Of course, I was thinking, dude, you have a house down the street, but you prefer to do your beer drinking in a cemetery at night? Wow. Your wife must be a real party. Yeah. Scary.